We are the Nerd Eternal Network.
Hello, and welcome to Icons of Water World here on the Nerd Eternal Network. I'm your GM for the day, Jason, and joining me as usual will be Curtis playing Toss-up.
Hola.
Mike playing Anyone.
Hey.
Zach playing the Bogeyman.
Howdy.
And Taylor playing Unison.
My howdy's been stolen.
Now you just must say hi.
I just have to say hello like a pleb.
I'm sorry, I'll do you before Zach next time. Alright, last time we played, we wrapped up a story involving Frost Giant, Patience, Serpent Boy, and the Comet. Taking place in the historic city of Boston. I think it ended with all the adults having a drink at Cheers. Now it was Curtis that missed last time, I believe.
It was.
Alright.
I was sick.
So let's see, what did we do last time? The Comet managed to keep the doctor that Squadron was trying to kill away from him. Servant Boy basically befriended Mjolnir's Hell Daughter. And a lot of you took down Squadron. Managed to get him taken into Spear custody rather than the Air Force's custody. And when the campaign wrapped up, there was a whole big government investigation going on into some of the super soldier stuff programs that had been going on at that Air Force base. The general in charge at the base seemed to be cooperating. And from what information y'all had, it didn't seem like he was necessarily involved in anything as far as like being in charge of it. He was just being housed at his base, and he didn't seem like he was necessarily a fan of what was going on. But today we cut to a different part of the country with this different group of characters. Today our story opens up in Rhodes Ferry. A decent-sized city, just a few miles down the road from Manford, the city that most of our first season took place in. Like I said, it's a few miles down the road or down the highway from Manford, across the river. It's on the river. So, city's got a population of just a little under 200,000. So, a decent-sized city, but not huge. But it's got some industry. It's got some tech firms. It had, kind of historically speaking, had a poorer relationship with superheroes than Manford. Manford was always kind of open to supers. Rhodes Ferry has always been a little more conservative in regard to them. We've been to Rhodes Ferry a time or two this season. And I believe it is the hometown of the Boogeyman.
Yes, sir.
Now, what brings the rest of you to Rhodes Ferry? Well, we'll start with U.N.I.S.O.N and Toss-up. U.N.I.S.O.N, you have been... Let me find my notes here. You've become interested in investigating a company called ShadoCorp.
Oh, Lord, yes, I would.
Not
What's
Shadow, there's no W in it.
What's this business called? Shady McShadertons? Huh. Think I'll take a look.
Nothing to see here.
Shady McShaderson's shady business. I don't know what they could be up to.
It's just roofing.
Or tree planting. Perfectly harmless. But it is, at a glance, it is just a high-tech firm. Dabbles in all kinds of technologies, genetic research, medical research. But it's also got subsidiaries that are kind of in a little bit of everything. You got a little suspicious. There were a series of break-ins. Excuse me. Of some of their facilities that, certain high-tech equipment was stolen and, reported to their insurance and all that. But when it came to your attention and you looked into it, all that equipment, it was like someone was trying to put together a lab. You investigated.
So enough things were stolen individually that could be pieced together to make some kind of tech lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it was several there. But there was from facilities scattered all over the place, and it wasn't. None of them were ShadoCorp specific. It was always one of these little subsidies that got hit. But it was always the subsidy that belonged to ShadoCorp. And it wasn't big like supervillains busted in kind of stuff. People drove up, broke in a door, loaded up a van, drove off kind of stuff. Like I said, they always reported to their insurance. The insurance is paid out. But witnesses placed a man there matching the description of a fellow that goes by the name the Technomonger. Kind of a mad scientist inventor type.
Oh, Lord. First it was the clown with the confetti bombs, and now this guy. The Technomonger?
The Technomonger. Which, high-tech thefts are not unusual for him. He's attacked various tech firms, government installations that were supposedly housing extraterrestrial technology. He's hit those. That's really picked up in the past year since, now everybody knows the government actually does have extraterrestrial tech scattered around. There was some rumor that he was interested in Spears, the ship Spears got in orbit, the one that the Unknowns were using as a base, and that became the Spears super team's base.
Everybody's interested in that thing.
But so far, he hasn't made any actual attempts on that.
If he can already go to space and attempt to take it, he could probably just be able to build something.
More likely. And not too far back, he was spotted in Japan, not long after the Spear team had left.
Lord, this dude gets around.
Because, there was some alien tech uncovered there, of course. He did not make any attacks while he was there, so he may not have been able to actually locate anything. But anyway, some eyewitness accounts of a couple of the early thefts insinuated that it might be him. He was spotted in Rhodes Ferry, which is what has brought you to Rhodes Ferry. Which is also when you started piecing together ShadoCorp's the company headquarters is located in Rhodes Ferry. A little beaten off the path from some of the spots in California or New York that a lot of these places tend to base themselves, but So since this was going to be a more low-key, investigative sort of thing, you thought, bringing in the whole spear team might be, overkill, maybe even counterproductive.
I'll just go in by myself, take a nice trip, and Toss-up came up behind me, held me in a hug, and was like, "Where are we going, boss?" Like a big old Labrador.
Well, but Toss-up's also very good with tech, so. And he was trained by more of a street vigilante type, if I recall.
Right.
So, for sneaky espionage stuff, he's probably the teammate you would bring.
Well, I mean, yes. Not to insult Recluse, because he can punch mountains, but he's not the sneakiest.
Yeah, no.
When we planned a break-in of a building, I just said, "Hey, I can get us on the roof and block the cameras while you punch a hole in the ceiling."
Look, man, he just needs a costume like the Ninja Turtles had. Trench coat, fedora, fake rubber human mask. It's going to be fine. I mean, the Thing didn't even bother with that much. Oh, yeah, let me bounce the...
I'll be right back.
Alright. Let me bounce y'all over here. Alright, so this is Rhodes Ferry, as y'all can see on the map now. Or at least part of Rhodes Ferry. All that green in and around the water is part of a wildlife refuge. The river is kind of to the north. Oops. And a lot of that industry is kind of in that, what looks like an empty spot close to the river.
Ah, the best place to dump chemicals.
Okay, no crisis. She decided that playtime was food time, and then she needed to get her face.
Odd baby.
Yep. What'd I miss?
I was introducing Rhodes Ferry and why. What was the last thing you heard?
Toss-ups.
We were talking about how Recluse is probably the worst person to bring in a sneaky type mission.
Oh, yes. Okay. Then all you really missed was me showing the map of Rhodes Ferry and kind of pointing some stuff out. Like if you're looking on the map, right around here is kind of where the industrial park stuff is. The ShadoCorp headquarters is probably located around here. They have a corporate building, and then they've got facilities in kind of the industrial part where they do some of their work. Some production, some research. And I pointed out that down kind of here, this green down here is all part of a animal preserve, or wildlife preserve. Okay. I'm watching the OBS, and I keep trying to manipulate the map, or the Roll20 map on OBS, and that's just not working at all. There we go. Maybe
Maybe one day, but not.
No. All right. Now, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anyone's business is kind of espionage, correct?
Yeah, he's kind of a espionage vigilante. I think I've been thinking about his background, and I think what he does is he basically helps out. He basically his typical mode of operation is to is basically like sting operations. I think I decided that he focuses on super criminal types, like targeting Hydra type organizations, things like that. But that's basically what he does. He just poses as like various criminal underworld figures, either impersonating actual ones or more likely just making them out of whole cloth. But that's basically his deal.
Okay, kind of an independent agent.
Yeah.
But with kind of vigilante motives, kind of thing,
Yeah, and he's probably worked at Spear before. I imagine. I think he's got. Does he have connections? I'm trying to remember if I gave him a connections knack. I might have. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like I did.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm sure he's been around and knows all the major players.
But he's not exactly a. It's not like he's a spy for hire exactly. He just kind of does his own thing.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for the money. And I'm still kind of up in the air how rich he's. Well, he's not rich because not rich enough that I have to spend character points on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way. So even if he makes money, he probably just invests it in tech and just and various sting expenditures.
I imagine he's got quite a clothing budget as well.
Maybe not if I've got the illusion gadget. I can just because I've got the images gadget.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
may just be able to,
and to be fair, Mystique when she shifts clothing and everything.
yeah.
Except in the movies where
Sure
she
he's
doesn't
got
bother to put her in clothes.
Right.
Well, anyone is in Rhodes Ferry. Someone, and you haven't figured out who it is yet, has slipped you some information on ShadoCorp. Or ShadoCorp. Corp. However they say it. Implicating them in some kidnappings. And looking in the company, you find out, they're into high-tech stuff. They're into genetics research and various medical research. You have also discovered that they own a lot of subsidiary companies. A lot of them that kind of touch on some of these same industries, same subjects. You're not sure why they would need to own so many different labs that do genetic stuff. Unless they're just buying up potential competitors or something, you're not really sure. But their corporate headquarters is here in Rhodes Ferry. Excuse me. So that's what has drawn you to town.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Bogeyman just kind of already lives here. The Boogeyman's neighborhood. Let me. All right. So Boogeyman's neighborhood is somewhere up in this area. Kind of close to that side of the river that all the industrial stuff tends to take up. Not a ritzy part of town, as I recall. And you have been investigating some disappearances in the area. It's mostly been the homeless. People that, folks in the neighborhood notice are gone, but not somebody the police are exactly, chomping at the bit to investigate. Right. Because, to be fair, the local homeless guy you haven't seen in a while, he may have wandered to another part of town. From their point of view, there's a lot of places he could have gone, rather than necessarily something happening to him. But you've also had one shopkeeper come up missing. They didn't find him that morning, which is kind of the thing. But they found his shop. You know, he stays open till his shop stays open till like 11 or so. Well, people showed up the next morning, and the shop, you know, the open sign was still on before it should have been opened. He was nowhere to be found. When they got the police to come investigate, the last they see of him, you know, the internal cameras, you see him kind of gather up the trash and headed like he was going out the back door, and then he just doesn't come back. And later throughout the night, you know, random folks wander in and steal some stuff, but they walk through the open door. They don't have to break in, you know. And the police are pretty sure that was just kind of random locals.
Has there been any noticeable overlap between any of them, like race, gender, species?
Best you know, they're all human. Not that there are any extraterrestrials that you know of living in the neighborhood. Statistically speaking, there's probably a few mutants in the neighborhood, but if they are, they kind of keep their heads down. And several of the homeless folks, even the people that are concerned because they haven't seen them, don't necessarily know the person's full name or, you know, who they are or where they're from, really. But there doesn't seem to be any pattern as far as the ethnicity of the people picked up or gender. Just that they're in that general area, and with the exception of the shopkeeper, you know, they've all been, you know, homeless.
So far they've just been targets of opportunity and low visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Except the shopkeeper.
Except the shopkeeper. And he was an older gentleman. He's run that shop. Well, Boogie's not really sure how long he's run that shop. You remember the guy running the shop when you were a kid, and you thought he was an old man then, but you know you were a kid, so
everybody's old when you're a kid,
right?
Do I know if he has any family in the area I could contact?
Let's see. He would talk about his niece that lived up in Manford. But since his wife passed, and you vaguely remember, you know, like your folks mentioning her passing back when you were like 12 or so. But once she passed, he doesn't have any other family just right here in the city. You know, like I said, Manford's like an hour and a half or so drive up the highway, so that's not, you know, not any great distance away. You could easily go up there and talk to her if you needed to, or just call her.
Yeah, I think I'll just try and call her. Because gas costs.
And Boogie is not overly wealthy.
Bacon is a special occasion.
Do what now?
Bacon is a special occasion food for Bogeyman.
And it's not really one. It's not really a food I keep around, so you know.
Yeah, it's kind of pricey.
All right, so you call. You know, you managed to find the number for his niece. Her name's Caroline. Alan. Do you give her your real name, or do you give her an alias, or?
I just tell her, yeah. I'm Bogeyman. I'm the local cape for Rhodes Ferry. Just trying to look into your uncle's disappearance, because it's not just him that's vanished. And I was wondering if you could just tell me if there was anything he talked to you about recently that seemed out of the ordinary, or if there was anything about him that was unique, or might have drawn some attention. Or if he'd even called her that night.
Well, after a brief, she's a little skeptical of you being who you claim you are at first, but she asks you a few questions about the neighborhoods that you're in. Because she spent time with her uncle, so she rattles off. She grew up in the neighborhood and moved off when she got married. So she kind of quizzes you on a few little things only a local would know. And then seems fairly satisfied. Okay, you're probably who you say you are. She keeps in touch with people in the neighborhood, so she knows the Boogeyman is a vigilante that has been looking after the neighborhood. She had talked to him a few days before his disappearance. She didn't know he had disappeared until the police contacted her. But because like I said, it was the next morning that people realized something was up. But she talked to him a few days before. He didn't seem particularly worried about anything or anything new. Now, for the past few months, he'd been agitated about some company that had been poking around the neighborhood. Something about their CEO kind of set his teeth on edge.
What was the company's name, if you remember?
Shadow something.
That is needlessly ominous.
She's like, that's what I thought, but but apparently it's the CEO's last name or something. I don't know.
He's probably evil. I mean, I'm just speaking from experience.
Well, I guess in your business you probably do run across people with odd names like that.
Statistically improbable. It's a statistical improbability, but yes,
She goes, on the other hand, I know a guy with the last name Esper, and he's not psychic, so But she's like, as far as I know, my uncle hadn't had any negative encounters with anybody from this company. They were just like looking around for like space to rent in the neighborhood or something. And like I said, Uncle has I don't know if he's just seen the CEO, or if he met the CEO somewhere, but like I said, the guy creeped him out.
More of a lead than what I've got, than what I have got so far.
Well, I hope you can find him. The police didn't act like they had high hopes, but they didn't find any blood back there or anything, so it's not like whoever it was hurt him there. So I don't know why anybody would want to take him. I mean, his shop's been there a while, but it's never been like a huge moneymaker.
He might have just been a vulnerable target. I wish I could have had more answers for you, but I'm grasping at straws right now. Sorry.
Oh no! I'm just glad somebody is looking into it. If you find, good or bad, if you find anything out, please let me know.
You'll be the first one to know.
Oh well, thank you. Now, U.N.I.S.O.N and Toss-up. How are y'all going to go about investigating?
Well, obviously, simplest way is right up the front door.
Incognito or in full costume?
Well, it's gonna be more or less going up to... Sorry, I gotta sneeze, it's building up, hold on. It's not one to come in.
Yeah, I hate those.
It's just sitting there on the verge. Whatever, it'll happen when it happens. But no, it's just. I mean, for me, it's going to be as simple as knocking on the door with a list of the things being like, from Spear, I'm here, it's all legitimate to check, make sure this, this is everything on the list they stole. That's, tech. If they stole beakers and stuff like that were empty, it's just like that's extra stuff, but nothing dangerous. But double check. This is all the stuff. Any video they have, any footage they might have inside that they can show. Just double checking that all information given was received.
Okay. Toss-up, you gonna go in with him?
How do you want to do this? Do you want to do it together?
I mean, at this point, it's just, opening the door and making the company feel safe that, yes, we're clearly looking at the problem, so sure. Coming in with more than just one person will be fine.
We could just, knock on the door and ask to speak with the criminal mastermind.
Toss-up, we're here because this place seems shady, yeah, but we're here to investigate the fact that someone is stealing tech from these places. Granted, last time I was doing this, it was the dude that owned the place, but still.
It is covered by their insurance. Just saying.
Yeah, but also last time it was the dude trying to take over the U.S., so. Hopefully it's not that again. Don't have quite as many robots helping me this time around. I miss launch. Walking up to the door now.
All right, so you and Toss. Which member of U.N.I.S.O.N is walking in?
Unit.
Okay, so Unit and Toss-up walk in just full costume, government IDs out.
Yup. Nice and simple.
As you walk into into the lobby, there's a couple of folks standing around. Most people are moving around. There's a couple of folks standing around having conversations. They just kind of stop talking and watch you walk in. The receptionist saw you as soon as you walked in, and is kind of straightens up behind her desk a little bit, or behind the reception desk. Yes, sir. Can I help you? Clearly recognize you.
Yeah, we're with the Spear's operational unit. Receive word of stolen tech.
Oh,
we've seen the insurance send in everything. We're just here to double check on any video footage and to make sure that the materials on this list were all the materials stolen of, above a certain value.
She's like, "Oh, I hadn't even heard about a theft." Starts hitting keys. Okay. I see. It's some of the other companies we own. Okay. Well, I need to let somebody higher up know you're here.
Completely understandable, man.
So it doesn't take but just a minute or two, and a vice president has come down to talk to you. Hey, Ronald Blake.
Did you say Ronald Blake?
Ronald. Like the McDonald's clown.
Yes.
But, young VP, maybe 30 or whatever. Comes down, shakes hands. It's a pleasure to meet you, gentlemen. I'm a little surprised that Spear would be looking into the theft of some of our not subservient. That's not what I was trying to say at all. What some of our companies... Subsidiary, thank you. I'm surprised you'd be looking into those thefts, but, I mean, you know, we're happy to cooperate. Please come on up to my office and we'll dig through all the information you need.
Thanks, sir. And don't worry, I'll be able to explain very easily why we're looking into this at the moment.
No, of course, of course. So y'all hop in the elevator, y'all go up midway up the building. The building's only like 9 or 10 stories tall. It's not a skyscraper by any means. Though it probably is one of the taller buildings in town. But y'all get up to his office. It's not a corner office, but it's got a decent window on it. He gestures to the chairs in front of his desk. Oh, please have a seat. He sits down and kind of turns the computer monitor, rotates around where everybody can see it. He starts pulling up the information that the company has got. Here's the police reports. Here's where the insurance paid out. He goes, now of course the insurance paid out to the individual companies.
Companies, yes.
He goes, well, we got all our paperwork basically comes through here, so I've got access to everything. What exactly is it that you need to look at?
Just wanting, a double check of footage and the listing to make sure this was everything, because thanks to the technical advice of our resident science expert and using kind of gestures at Toss-up, it's been noticed that with all the tech stolen, despite it being several individual hits, all grabbed separate, different several different items that altogether could form a personal laboratory of some sort.
Oh, I see.
There were no double-ups, there were no accidental, taking extras of something that looked expensive or looked particularly important.
I see.
Just to review all the footage to make sure they all were planned and operated, in a strict format, rather than, just they broke a window and reached and grabbed whatever the first thing was and walked out.
Oh, I've got you. Hang on just 1 second. He gets on the phone, calls somebody and asks them to send Doc Brown up.
And I'd be curious to know, how independently did all of these subsidiaries work? Did one work hand in hand with the other? Did they know what the other was doing? Or did they have any interaction at all?
Most of them didn't interact with each other so much as they would interact with us. There were a couple of them that when we bought them, they were doing similar research, so we have them collaborating now, so we're not just doubling up on our research. I'd have to look through a list to see exactly which ones are which, which ones might have had something stolen from them. But in general, I mean, that's how our other divisions work, or other companies work. The door opens, a lady in a lab coat comes in. Her name tag says Dr. Sasha Brown. Ronald introduces you all. Her eyes get wide when she sees, two superheroes sitting there, but clearly nobody told her on the way up, who the VP had with him. And he tells her what you had said about it looked like somebody might be trying to build a lab. He's got her looking over the equipment to, see what she thinks of it. Since she would know more, he called her in because she'd know more about that than him. He handles the business side of things.
So who at ShadoCorp coordinated all of these subsidiaries?
Beg pardon?
Sorry.
No problem.
Who at ShadoCorp, coordinated all of these subsidiaries?
One of the other vice presidents is kind of in charge of that. He's not here today, but he's on a trip over to Seattle. But he gives you the name. He gives you the guy's name. And Dr. Brown, she's been looking through the stuff. She's kind of nodding her head. She goes, yes, somebody could definitely be building them a little engineering lab. She's supposed to do a few things. These would be useful for fabricating prototypes. Nothing too large, but...
But for, let's say, one man with a self-interest, it would be enough.
She's like, oh, yes. I guess if we're looking at things from a superhero, supervillain point of view, then yes, one individual making, devices for his own use or someone else's use, some other individual's use, these would probably work pretty well. With some modifications, you could have them work with all kinds of materials. And fabricate just about anything you'd need, provided you had the raw materials and enough workspace and all. But I have to say, you're probably right. He didn't seem to double up on anything. Well, she corrects herself. He or she. As far as from what I've heard, we haven't actually seen anybody on camera, so we don't know who was taking it. But whoever they are, they didn't double up on anything, and it's a pretty. If you're wanting to set up a lab to do fabrication and stuff, it's a pretty. There's an extensive list of equipment you need, and they've got most of the expensive or hard to find things. Assuming, of course, it was the same people robbing these different companies, because they're in she starts looking several different states.
This concern, though, is brought up because of the fact that there are no double-ups, despite the fact that some machines would be the most expensive machine in there, and they stole machines. The idea of, if you're going to steal something, steal the most expensive thing, yet for some reason, none of them did that except one.
The VP is nodding. And Dr. Brown goes, oh, yes, of course, because that would imply they're stealing them to use, not just stealing them to sell.
Right. If it's uncoordinated, then typically it's whatever's, especially with tech theft, when you know what it's about, or you're going in to steal technology, typically you know what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go in and just study it like that, this is such an irregularity, we have to suspect it is a group or individual.
She kind of, both the CEO and her kind of nod their heads. Okay. Yeah. And he gestures for the doctor to take a seat, kind of over to the side. And she kind of fidgets with the paper and kind of keeps looking through them, like to give herself something to do. The CEO, the VP has been going through some of the paperwork you brought. Just checking the lists against what's recorded. He goes, from best I can tell, it looks like your list here is pretty complete. He goes, we had a few things damaged in addition to what was stolen, but nothing of high value. Some stuff was kind of tossed out of the way and broke, but.
Containers, assorted parts and such like that.
Yes, just kind of. I don't want to say clutter, but yeah, basically spare parts or just equipment they hadn't gotten around to using. Not test tubes, but there was some piping and some slides and that sort of thing.
How was your cybersecurity? Are you all aware of any hacks recently?
He goes, generally speaking, we have pretty tight security. He rattles off a cybersecurity firm that they use. They do a lot of government contracts too. He does some typing. He pulls up. We haven't had any breaches that we know of course. We've had the company giving us a security audit since some of the break-ins started. But they haven't found anything major. I mean, you've always got oddballs, poking, that'll poke at your security, just trying to get in for, I guess, whatever reason, industrial espionage, that sort of thing. Most of our research labs use what do they call it? Isolated systems. A lot of the research labs aren't necessarily plugged into the internet as far as their main databases, which is something we do for security purposes. We really tightened up our security after all that stuff last year with oh crap, what was Steele's company's name?
I don't recall.
Anyway,
I think it was just Steel Tech.
I think it was Steele Industrial Technologies, SIT. But with the shenanigans they got up into last year, because it turns out they had been involved in a lot of industrial espionage against other tech companies, so we tightened up our security there. Or after that, but no, currently there's no, we've seen no signs of any kind of breach. Do you think we might have do you think we were targeted for a particular reason? Or just that we happened to have the sort of equipment they needed?
Honestly, someone, and I don't know why you would have been targeted, but what I'm trying to figure out is someone had a map to all of these different subsidiaries for equipment they were looking for.
You're thinking maybe that was somebody inside might have hipped them to it?
Possibly.
Due to the fact of such direct organization along multiple isolated systems, as you said, it would have to be someone who either got in or was given enough information of what's inside on multiple different companies, as was stated, very far away from each other. It almost seems like someone let something slip. But with this many, it's hard to assume an accident.
Yes.
Someone either targeted your company or somebody on the inside had the information.
And is looking to make a play for themselves, which is always a worrisome thing in the superhero, the superhuman regulations.
Let me look. I'm just going to take a quick look at any firings that we've had lately. He goes, no, I don't really see any red flags. Had let one guy go for not showing up, but he goes, I was just checking to see, the typical, did we fire anybody and they walked out shaking their fists at us sort of thing, but as far as as far as our higher up researchers and doctors, we really haven't had anybody, that we had to let go. He goes, is there any other information I can get for you?
Just, I hate to say it in this way just because I don't want to cast any doubt in a company that works together so closely. But is there anyone other than the vice president you can think of that would have a connection to this many locations at once?
Not that would have a direct. Well, let me rephrase that. Any of the VPs, one of us, is kind of in charge of coordinating everybody. But anybody of VP status, he puts his hand on his chest, anybody of VP status like myself or higher has access to the information you're talking about. So as far as who could have pulled that kind of information up, I could have, he could have, one of the other VPs could have. We would all technically have that level of access.
All right. And that includes, if believing in, malintent, then any assistant or, secretary within the same office is technically on a list, but I don't feel like making that right now.
I suppose some secretaries could potentially have access, could potentially use someone else's computer for access. Yes,
but also I'm also going to run an assumption that you don't hire secretaries based on their technological prowess as far as manufacturing goes, because you would hire them for a manufacturing job at that point.
Oh yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
I'm just thinking of all possible information leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is just bouncing around while I'm here. You don't happen to contract someone to build all of your buildings. You don't contract the same company for multiple factories when they're this far apart.
No, he goes no, and several of those facilities were already in existence before we bought out the company.
All right.
And no, we put things up for bid. You'll have things like, here in Rhodes Ferry, we often use the same company because they've done such good work for us.
Yes.
But that's a local contractor.
Just double checking to make sure there's not, one construction company that would happen to have every single blueprint to a factory that's made by you.
Oh, no.
Because then that would be an extra link we would have to go down to check for a, security breach.
He goes, no, there's nothing like that. Like I said, many of these facilities were already in operation when we purchased them, so.
All right. Toss-up, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. Not yet. Not at the moment.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank both of you for your time, especially with this coming unannounced, but this was something, seen and needed to be pounced upon quickly.
Oh, there you go. Of course, there's no trouble.
All of the warning signs and red flags of a villain soon to pop up.
The last thing we need is another mad scientist running around.
Right. It from the text on, it does look like someone that wants to test out a new toy and isn't exactly afraid of being questionable about what it does.
So he shakes your hand. He shows you back to the elevator. Dr. Brown says goodbye as well. He doesn't ride down with you. The elevator opens up in the lobby.
Yeah.
So. Well, anyway, gentlemen, if there's any other help you need, feel free to contact me. He gives you a little card with his. It's the company. It's the building's number, but then he's got his extension on it. So you can call him directly if you need to. And then y'all head back down. Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
What have you done since arriving in Rhodes Ferry?
So, I'm aware of kidnappings.
Mm-hmm.
That was my hook into this. Oh, do I have the same information regarding the demographic of the kidnappings that Bogeyman has? That it was mostly homeless people and one shop owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, trying to think of how recent. Yeah, your information's pretty recent. So yes, you've got everybody, including the shop owner. Shop owner is the last one anybody knows of that has disappeared.
Okay. And what was the frequency of the kidnappings? Were they all bunched up, or were they spread out over time?
There were 3 within 1 week, and then it's just been kind of sporadic after that.
Okay. I think the next thing first thing I would do is to try to run a data analysis to try to figure out all the possible common elements amongst all the kidnappings. Because I want to basically, I think his grand plan would be like any typical super investigator would be to offer themselves up as a decoy, and so he tried to figure out if he wanted to try to get kidnapped by whoever's doing these kidnappings in disguise as presumably a homeless person, where and when. So that'll be the first thing I would do, is an analysis to try to see if there's anything that can be determined out of what is known.
Okay, the shopkeeper disappeared. It was probably been about like 10:30 or 10:45 in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the last they see of him on video game, he was gathering up the trash, which is something he apparently did right before closing every night. And his shop closed at 11.
Mm-hmm. And are they all bunched up in the same area?
It seems to be the same neighborhood in Rhodes Ferry.
Okay.
One of the poorer sections of town.
Yeah, he might actually just kind of like maybe it might just be like a long-term sting where he just like lives on the street for however long it takes to either draw the kidnapper's attention or find out something about the kidnapper from anyone else. So that might be his approach to this mystery.
Okay.
Is actually go in deep undercover and just be amongst the people.
Okay. And as far as you asking about like times they disappeared, nobody can be sure with the homeless folks.
Okay.
They're not even really sure exactly what days. It was just after a while, people that saw them regularly noticed they weren't there. Other people in the homeless community noticed they weren't there. Word started getting around.
Yeah. Somebody do that. Maybe like you even spend time amongst the various shelters. Just try to insinuate myself. I take it have I found out about this like only recently, or did I find out about this? I'd like to be in the area as long as it would make sense for me to then.
This information had been delivered to you about a week ago.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, that's what I'd be doing.
So you've had time to kind of integrate into the neighborhood a little bit.
Okay. And that's basically what I'd be doing. I'd just be like keeping my eyes open.
Okay.
Well, let's see. What else do I know? I know about Shadow. I don't know about unless I missed it. I don't know about the thefts. Is that correct?
No, the thefts were not part of the information that you were seeing.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I know Shadow's here. I've researched their subsidiaries, but that's really more just like I'm figuring that's more just background information when I did my initial research on Rhodes Ferry, as opposed to something I was distinctly interested in them for. Am I understanding that right?
The information you got talked about the disappearances, and implied that they thought ShadoCorp was involved.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So
but they didn't necessarily present a good reason why they thought that, other than ShadoCorp's into genetic stuff.
I see. Okay. Possibility of test subjects, perhaps, or looking for material. Okay. I think I will still stick with this line of investigation. Because I think, given I'm going to assume there's some kind of like urgent time frame since people are like going up pretty regularly. It seems that rather than try to necessarily break into, I feel like this would be the more direct way, rather than try to crack into Shadow, to just be in the scene amongst where the kidnappings are happening. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, so you've been walking around in the neighborhood. Let's see. Bogeyman, after talking to the daughter, or to the niece rather, what'd be your next step?
Well, Well, after hearing about Shadow, it was ShadoCorp, right?
Yes.
After hearing about ShadoCorp, I'm probably gonna just hit up any bars in the area around ShadoCorp, and just watch for people who work there, like mostly custodians, people with name tags, company jackets, that sort of stuff, coming into the bar, and I'm pretty much just gonna slide up to them, buy them a drink, and just start chatting them up. See if I can get any information about anything weird that's been going on there out of them, or about ShadoCorp looking to purchase real estate in the area.
Okay.
Find out why they're looking to expand operations.
Okay. You have to stay. You hit this bar a couple of times before you finally kind of run across a. It's kind of a mixed group. A couple of them look like they're probably in the janitor's uniforms. One guy looks like maybe he's security, and then there's a woman with him that looks like her and the security guy are probably a couple. That she's not wearing a name tag or anything, but just from how she's dressed, you'd think probably like a receptionist or a secretary or something. They just kind of come in together in a group and start drinking. Alright, so how are you wanting to approach one of them?
I think I'll just kind of bite the bullet and buy him a round of drinks. Just introduce myself as Roy Benson.
Well, Roy, they're more than happy to talk to you, so you're buying the drinks.
Yeah, just tell him I'm a new guy in the area, and I've seen a lot of advertisements for ShadoCorp around, and well, y'all came in here dressed up looking like a company people. I was wondering, what's it like working there? Anything interesting?
They're like, the custodial ones are kind of like, clean up their offices about like clean up anywhere else. The pay's decent, benefits are pretty good. I could, you can always gripe about work, but overall, it seems like a pretty decent place to work while I've been there. The secretary talks about, her boss, she gets along pretty well with her boss. The company's, got very firm policies on any kind of workplace harassment or anything like that. So, she's had bosses before that, were get a little handsy or something. She hasn't had to deal with that there. So, the security guy doesn't say much other than, oh yeah, I like my job. But he doesn't really go into any detail. What do I ask you? Are you looking for work?
I mostly do odd jobs, but anything steady as something I jump. Are y'all looking for security, custodian, that sort of stuff?
He goes, it's the office is right here, but they got a plant over here, and they got this research spot over here. So they're always looking for people to fill this or that. He's like, give me an email address or something. I can, I'll shoot you a notice anytime there's a job opening or something.
Oh, sure. And I just jot down a fake email address on a bar napkin and slide it over to him. Something else. Little boutique owner I chat up sometimes said that ShadoCorp was looking to buy up some land in the area. They're actually trying to get his building.
Security guy perks up a little bit to this. Oh yeah, I've heard something about that. Well, not about trying to buy any particular guy's business, but he goes, but yeah, up there, you know, he gestures a little ways north up there. They already own some land against the river. I don't know that they've done anything with it yet, but yeah, he goes, they were looking for some spot in one of the neighborhoods up there to build some new office space. He goes, I've heard people talking about it. You live up that way?
I do a lot of business. I do a lot of business in the area, but I don't really live over there.
Oh, okay.
Live a little ways east of that neighborhood.
But, so that's about all you get out of them. As you're living, give me an awareness roll.
Ooh, 10.
As you're leaving, you see the security guy, get up from the table. And, he says something to the guys, and and it's like he's walking back to the bathroom, but you see him pull his cell phone out and he's calling somebody as he walks back there.
I'll step out the door, then step back in a couple seconds later and head to the bathroom.
Are you trying to be like stealthy where the folks you were talking to don't notice, or?
Yes, all good and sneaky.
All right, it's a D6. They're not paying close attention, and they've been drinking, so they don't get a whole lot as a plus. Yeah, they still roll pretty good though.
Prowess roll?
Uh.
Or coordination?
It's coordination, and like stealth if you've got something.
+3 to that. Oh, wait. No, it didn't add the plus. So that'd be 11.
Okay. So yeah, you manage to slip by when they're not paying any attention.
I just slip into the men's room and try and make myself non-obvious.
So you slip in there, you hear somebody talking as you walk in. Of course, the door makes some noise opening it. And you hear the security guy you'd been talking to finishing up his phone call. It's like he kind of rushes to a finish when he hears the door open. Well, yes, sir. Anyway, I thought I'd let you know that they were asking around. I probably need to go. And then presumably hangs up the phone. You hear the toilet flush.
Oh, there he.
Big part.
I said, oh, there he goes. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I lost signal for a second.
Okay. What was the last thing you heard me say?
The door makes some noise as I open it.
Okay. And you hear him kind of rush the end a conversation. Basically, he just goes, "Yes, sir. I just thought you needed to know. Somebody'd been asking around. I probably need to get. I probably need to go." And he hangs up the phone, and you hear the toilet flush. Now, are you gonna duck into one of the other stalls, or are you just gonna be standing there when he comes out?
I'm just gonna be standing in front of the stall.
So he just opens the door, and you're there.
Hi, friend.
Oh, Roy was his name, in case you were trying to remember. Oh no, Roy was your name. Excuse me.
Yeah.
He opens the door. He looks surprised. Roy, what are you? Needed to.
So I ask a few friendly questions about about ShadoCorp, and suddenly you want to call up your boss. That's kind of weird.
I just remembered there was something I was supposed to do before I left work that I forgot to do. I was just letting him know so he could cover for me. And he starts trying to slide past you. What was that?
I I assert my presence. just keep just sliding in front of him.
All right, look, man, I don't know what you're into, but I just need to get back out there to my girlfriend.
Listen, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm just trying to help people, all right? And I'm starting to think that your company, well, they're probably doing something, God, I'll say this, a little shady.
He kind of rolls his eyes.
Like,
It's that name. Everybody says that about the name.
Yeah, I really need to get Boris. Don't worry about it. So, let's just try and make this nice and easy. No one ever has to know that you blabbed it. I frankly don't. Everybody's gotta, have a job, make that money. So I understand if sometimes you have to compromise on moral grounds, but a lot of people gone missing. A very nice old man.
Hey, now I don't know nothing about no homeless people.
You never say anything about homeless people.
Oh, well, up north there, you've had a lot of homeless people go missing. It's been in the paper.
Uh-huh. Listen. Just tell me now. Things will have to get messy, alright?
All right, fine. What is it you want to know?
What? Why is ShadoCorp trying to buy a plant?
My understanding is they want to build some office space, basically across the road from this kind of industrial park area they own, that they're going to start building up to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, there's an article. I've got there's an article. I can show you on my phone. There was a web article on it.
Don't worry about it. Just keep that in your pocket.
He sticks his hand in his pocket. Are you sure it'd be really easy to show you?
I take a few steps back. Don't do what you think you're gonna do.
He comes out of his pocket with his keychain.
And it has some mace on it.
And it has some mace on it. Psst. Now, obviously, you see him doing this, so you can take an action first if you'd like.
I'm gonna just throw up a arm in front of my face and crush my eyes tight, close tight.
Okay. All right. So he tries to spray you with a mace. I'll admit I do not have stats for him ready, so let's just look at the bystanders in the back of the book. Let's see here. He's definitely not a soldier. Yeah, we'll just go with thug stats. Alright, so he's trying to spray you with this. That's be his coordination. And you'll resist.
That was a 1.
Beg pardon?
With my coordination?
Yes, with your coordination, you had time to. You basically spent an action basically prepping. So give yourself a +2.
Rolling.
There we go.
So that'd be 8.
So yeah, you feel the mace hit your, the arm of your jacket or whatever. And you're holding your breath so it doesn't choke you up too bad. I mean, obviously it smells strong. But when he sees that that you basically blocked it, he just kind of bolts for the door, tries to push past you. Give me a contested strength roll.
I'm gonna tap Tough SOB.
Okay. Let's see. That's an average 3.
That'll be 7. Oh, still not enough.
Ooh, he aced it. So basically, where you had your eyes covered, you don't see him when he starts to move. So by the time you start lowering your eyes, he's already kind of hitting you, and it catches you a little off guard. You just take a half step back, but it gives him room to get by, and then he runs for the door. You can take an action now.
I'm gonna chase him.
Okay, well, he's just now getting to, he's just put his hands on the door, basically.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Okay, in that case, I'm just gonna try and grab him, do a full Nelson and pull him back.
All right, so that's a wrestling move. So that'll be your prowess versus his prowess. If you have wrestling, that would factor into it.
Unfortunately, no.
His prowess is also a 3. So beat him by 4. So you've got him in essentially a full hold, which means he can't do anything except try to escape it. He can't move away from you. He can't even attack you. Basically, you got him around the arm, pinned his arms to his sides. All he can try to do is wiggle out. Let go of me, man. You're not a cop. You can't do this.
I'm not supposed to do a lot of the things I do. But I end up doing them anyway because if somebody doesn't, no one will. So, tell me, why has ShadoCorp been collecting people?
I don't know nothing about that, man. I was just, look, man, all of us in security, we've been told that if anybody starts asking around at the company, let somebody know.
What exactly does your company do in the first place?
Oh, it does all kinds of tech stuff.
Text.
Gizmos and whatnot. They do medical research, some of that genetic stuff. They work on vaccines. Some humanitarian BS kind of stuff.
Can I tell if he's holding anything back?
Give me a willpower. Versus he is. He's not lying outright to you. He's definitely keeping some stuff back.
Okay, no, I've gotten pretty good at reading people in the last year and so. And you're not lying, but you know more than you're letting up. Hey, did you know how easy it is to dislocate a person's shoulder whenever you have him in a full Nelson?
Yes, I know how easy it is. But he is trying to wiggle out. So give me it's contested strength rolls, I think. Let me double check for escaping. Actions is, there we go. Lifting, standing, climbing, attacking, blocking, escaping. Okay, he can use prowess or strength against your strength. So he's going to use his strength versus your strength. Alright, so he's got a 7. You need to beat a 7 to keep him in a hold, or keep him in a full hold.
I'm going to burn another determination point, tapping Tough SOB again.
Okay.
And that'll be a 6 and not enough.
Alright, so how bad did he beat you? He only beat you by 1. So it goes from a full hold to a partial hold. Which now means next round he could keep trying to escape or he could try to punch you. But he still can't go anywhere. So yeah, he's gonna try to punch you.
No.
Well, you know, he's gotten a little bit loose, so. Let's see, his prowess was a 3. But he fails. What do you do in response?
I kick him in the back. I just drive my full weight into the back of it. Just the heel of my boot.
That sounds painful. Alright, give me a roll.
Oh, good God.
Alright, how much damage do you do?
3.
3, and his stamina's only a 5. So he's down to 2. That seemed to take the fight out of him. You almost KO'd him with one lick. Okay, but nobody hears where you got this information from. Okay.
Trust me, I frankly don't give a damn. Just tell me.
Look, they've got some kind of new doc working for them. Apparently he'd been stealing from him or something. But they cut a deal with him that he's going to pay him back by working for him. Some issue they were having that their researchers weren't being able to figure out. That they're hoping this mad scientist guy can do it.
Okay. Let's dial it back here for a second. Whenever you say mad scientist, do you mean a deeply unethical scientist, or do you mean soon I will be invincible mad scientist?
Guy's got like a laser cannon on his shoulder, so however you classify
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's like, I don't know what it actually shoots. It's some kind of cannon on his shoulder, though.
Yeah, it's shoulder-mounted weaponry is never a good sign for a person's mental health.
You know, he had like one of them circular eyepieces that would slap over his face. I guess that was for targeting. I don't know.
It might just be for a step. You can never.
But he's got they've got a lab hidden somewhere, somewhere local, that they're setting up for him, kind of off the books kind of thing. And yeah, he's been needing test subjects.
Any specific kind of test subjects, or
just people that nobody would notice.
I gotcha.
That shopkeeper you were talking about been nosing around a little bit. So they sent one of the freak squad out to pick him up.
One of the what squad?
Freak squad. I mean, that's not what they're really called. That's just what we call them. Some kind of, I don't know if it's mutants they got working for, or if they cooked something up in a lab, or did something to somebody in a lab. I don't know.
That sounds lovely.
But Creep's like code-named Black Dragon or something. I don't know why. He's green. I don't know why they call him Black Dragon.
Why do I do this to myself?
But you'll know him if you see him. He's green, kind of like armored scaled. His tongue does this weird snake thing where it splits in two. It's just some nasty stuff. Oh, and he's got like gauges in his ears. Ugh, it's creepy.
Just tacky. Alright, what about the rest of them?
That's really the only one they use. It's the only one I've seen. Supposedly they have got some other, other freaks, but maybe he's the only one they really got tamed. I don't know.
Tell you what, you're already gonna have a limp for a few days, so I'm not gonna abuse your knees anymore. Just give me your cell phone.
I've got some like personal pictures on there.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna go through your personal pictures. I don't want to see.
Oh, you might as well. This has gotten creepy enough.
Why do you have 36 edited pictures of Gerald from Subway?
Oh god.
Now you're taking it to an actual level of creepy. He hands over the cell phone.
I slip it in my pocket. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit you really, really, really hard in the back of the head, and I'm gonna hand you off to your friend because you had just a few too many to drink. And I found you passed out in the.
Hey, look, man, blows to the head are dangerous. How about I just,
And I just throw a haymaker into the side of his head.
All right, give me a roll.
Here.
He goes down.
You have to use the Christian Bale Batman voice. No one has to know this happened.
And he goes limp like a rag doll.
I throw one of his arms around my shoulder and just carry him out. Go back to the table where his friends were and say, "Hey, I had to come back in here. Sort of a bathroom emergency. I found our mutual friend here passed out in one of the stalls."
The guys jump up and grab him. His girlfriend is she gets up and fusses over him. They get him slumped in his seat.
Yeah, I think he hit his head hit his head in the stall. It looks kind of red there.
One of the guys goes, "Oh yeah, he's got a little lump on the back of his head." Yeah. And they're like, "Hey man, thanks for bringing him back out."
Hey, it's not a problem. He seems like a good dude. Anyway, y'all take care and thanks for the leads.
He's like, "Oh yeah, the girlfriend's just fussing over your victim." But the others are like, "Oh yeah, man, no problem."
I went with the barkeep, hold up another $25 and just put it on the table for another round of drinks.
He motions like he's got you, and he starts filling up glasses. As you leave, you see one of the guys kind of patting him on the side of the cheek like he's trying to wake him up.
You okay, Curtis?
So Unison, you and Toss-up, as y'all are leaving, or after y'all have left the ShadoCorp headquarters, how are y'all proceeding?
It is time to do what superheroes do best, which is find other superheroes. Because we are potentially looking for a supervillain, and there's only 2 of us. It is time to contact the locals.
Do we know any locals?
Of course we don't. That's the fun thing about being well known is you can just ask. Unison will
Go ahead.
Unit will separate into Unison, and they will each more or less be, traveling about asking, who the local heroes are and how to get in contact with them.
Like just random citizens on the street. You, local citizen, where's your local superheroes?
Is there a local hangout for them?
Surely you've got access to a Spear database that might point us in the right direction.
We'll be given the general information from Spear, and but I'm also going to have bodies on the streets because that's how I like to operate.
So locals tell you, in some of the rougher parts of town, there's this guy everybody calls the Bogeyman. He's and Bogeyman is not like officially registered with Spear in any kind of way. Though if you pulled up records on him, you know, they know of him. But I don't know if any actual Spear agents have ever talked to him.
Well, it is time to start looking for him.
And he's really the only one in the city limits, known heroes in the city limits. Like I said, Rhodes Ferry was always kind of hard on supers.
And I think there was a Mott base nearby as well.
They were active in the area, yes. Now out in the county surrounding the city, there was a small team of heroes that kind of covered, you know, the Tri-County area or whatever. But so yeah, you get the neighborhoods that he's most. I mean, he can pop up anywhere in the city potentially, but he's most active up in that northern part of the city. Like I said, it's the less affluent area.
Yeah. Well, it's also just if you spread word enough to know that Spear would like to talk to him, he'll hopefully give a phone call
Or go into hiding, depending on his views of the government.
Fair enough.
But,
now to be fair, though, Spear's fresh enough in the government that, like, you know the people were heroes before they joined up with the government. It would be a...
This is true. Now, this is true. You know, the Unknowns did, you know, stop a takeover the year before. And half of the current Spear team, you know,
and
was involved.
I think there's enough, like, witnesses and all of, like, hey, he offered us stuff to not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were offered basically the right-hand man position and said no.
And, of course, in that year between the attempted takeover and where y'all are at now, the Primus was on your team for a while. And, you know, that led to a lot of goodwill towards the team. You know, basically Superman comes out of retirement to help found your stuff. Well, that gives you a little legitimacy there.
Gives us some super creed.
Mm-hmm. All right, so y'all had... Oh, go ahead.
It's Rhodes Ferry, so there's not going to be like a supers bar.
Mm-mm.
So I guess we'll have to stick with that plan of hanging out in the rough part of town and asking around.
All right, so y'all head up there, and y'all get some looks from the people. One guy actually approaches you. Hey, are you guys here about the disappearances?
We are now. Unit says, and then turns and pulls out something to write down on. Disappearances of...
And he goes over the, oh yeah, we've had a bunch of, you know, several homeless folk that are kind of known in the neighborhood have come up missing. Which, you know, the police weren't real active on because, well, you know, who knows, maybe they hopped a bus to another town or just moved somewhere else in town, you know. He goes, the usual excuses.
Any idea how many people have disappeared?
Oh, it's like 5 or 6 out of the homeless community that we can't find.
When do you think it started?
About a month ago. Of course, with some of these folks, you can't, you know, they could have been missing a couple of days for anybody really noticed. But, you know, they haven't hit any of the usual shelters. He goes, we got a soup kitchen up here that hasn't seen them. He goes,
how does that jive with the break-ins as far as the timetable?
The last break-in would have been a bit before that.
Oh, that's kind of ominous.
So, you know, we have a rash of break-ins on this company, and then suddenly, around the main building of this company, suddenly homeless people start disappearing.
He goes, yeah, but he goes, there's also a shopkeeper. Oh crap! I named the niece. I didn't name the shopkeeper.
Fred
works, and I will not make his last name Sanford.
Or Durst.
Fred Manford.
Well, we got the city of Manford close by, so.
No one wants to be Fred Durst. Not even Fred Durst.
Priest. His last name is Priest. He goes, oh yeah, you know, there's a Mr. Priest's run a store around here for, he goes, as long as I can remember. Yeah, took his trash out one night and never came back inside to close up the store. He goes, the police are pretty actively investigating his disappearance. Just because it's so obviously something, you know, obviously something did go wrong. And you know, they give you kind of directions to his store if you're interested, or you know, guy you're talking to, you know, doesn't think he has any family in the area, but he doesn't know for sure.
I guess we could check his shop for clues.
No, my good man. We can do that. But also, we can just force the police to tell us what they know. We're the government.
I'm just picturing you walking in and snatching up a police sergeant. Tell me what you know!
Champ, we rank above them.
We might find something that the police did.
Yes, don't
maybe
worry,
not.
we'll look. I just want you to know, this is almost the entire reason I helped found Spear, was so that I could grab the police and force them to tell me the truth.
Okay.
Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried?
In my backyard!
So yes, one of Unison will be going down to the police station to get, you know, information reports, family, you know, contact information.
Now the main, the kind of police headquarters is kind of over here, kind of the middle-ish part of town. But there is a precinct up closer to the neighborhood.
I have helicopter speed flight, dog, and I can clone myself. I ain't worried about distances inside of town.
Fair point. All right, so
the reason I learned to fly was to not deal with this garbage.
All right, so are you going to send one dupe to go talk to the police?
Yes.
So the rest of you in Toss-up could head to the store.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
2 of me with Toss-up, 1 at the police station, the rest still, you know, asking around to see if they've seen the Bogeyman out and about.
And I'm assuming from what we know with Spear, we think that the Boogeyman, even though he's not registered and hasn't had contact with Spear, we still think he's a hero. We don't think he's like a bad dude that might be responsible for these people disappearing.
The police reports on the Boogeyman are not flattering. But that seems to just be the town's general bias against superheroes, which is still kind of a thing. But there's reports of those invaders coming up out of the ground, you know, at the beginning of the season. There are police reports. You know, it's documented that him and some random heroes that were in town were going around, you know, defending people and taking out invaders.
Right, I just making
You know,
sure.
and there's a lot of reports of him fighting local gangs. So yeah, you're pretty sure he's just a street vigilante. You know, that the police aren't necessarily happy that he's there, but
Well, and Toss-up would be familiar with street vigilantes.
Mhm. He's your people.
Yeah, he knows the drill.
So y'all arrive at the store. It is you're a little surprised that it's open when you get there.
Oh, still.
Wait, the owner's out. Who's operating it?
When you go in, it looks like a 19 or 20-year-old behind the counter. You know, y'all walk in, the bell rings, he looks up. Hey, how can I help? Hello.
Howdy, sir.
are y'all for real, or are y'all like cosplayers? Because those are some really good costumes if you're cosplayers.
Pull out the Spear identification set. I'm like, yeah, we're with Spear. I mean, name's Unit.
Wow. He picks up and closely examines your ID, but more because he's never seen something like that before than that he's trying to spot it as fake or not.
We're here now about both the Bogeyman and the disappearance of your shop's owner.
Oh yeah, Mr. Priest has been gone for a couple days now. Police are investigating. He hands you your ID back.
We were investigating a separate issue, but since we're already here, we thought we'd lend a hand to local forces.
Oh, that's cool. I wouldn't have thought Mr. Priest would be. I mean, he's important to the neighborhood. He's a cool guy and all. I wouldn't have thought he would have drawn in national superheroes though. But anyway, yeah. What can I help you with? I mean,
just a quick overview of the area he was taken from. We'll just do a quick once-over, just as the police do, and then we were hoping you might have contact information for Bogeyman, because we've been told he is also trying to independently investigate this.
Oh, I'm mad. Yeah, he probably would. He's nobody knows who he is, of course, but it's pretty obvious he's a local. I don't think anybody's got a phone number for him or a Boogeyman signal or anything, though. But anyway, I can show you where Mr. Priest disappeared. So
I hadn't thought about it, but I could make one.
Good.
There's a big BM up here in the sky.
Big BM in the sky.
So this guy, he tells you, anytime whoever's closing the shop that day, last 15-20 minutes before the store closes, you gather up your garbage and he goes, you take it out back, and he leads you out back. There's a pretty heavy-duty door on the back. Kind of one of them security doors. It's got a big old bolt, that helps keep you. That you can use to latch it shut, and you got padlocks and all that jazz. But he opens that up, steps that back. There's an alley behind the store. He's like, dumpsters over here. He goes, the trash he took out is in the dumpster. So whoever jumped him must have jumped him after he threw the trash away. He goes, is it in the nicest neighborhood? He goes, but usually only thing you got to worry about back here is maybe a couple of homeless people getting out of the wind or something. He goes, I've never actually had anybody try to mug me or anything like that. But he's like, the police were talking about, some of the prints in the area, because it's all stomped up now because they've been through here. And there is some police tape up, kind of blocking the alleyway off a little bit. He goes, so yeah, y'all are free to look around. Police didn't really find much of anything. They could see where he walked out. Where he walked out there, and like maybe he was walking back, and then his prints just stopped. So I don't know. It's weird. I hope y'all can find him. I don't know how long I can run the place without him. Yeah. The way the police are talking, it's like he just stopped. I mean, it's packed down out here, so it's not like you're leaving real good prints anyway. But.
That's interesting.
He goes, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I don't know. If somebody had a van or something parked out here and snatched him, but it was the middle of the night. If he stepped out here and there was just a van just parked there, I doubt he'd have. I doubt he'd have just walked out past it, and that would just be kind of weird. About that time, the little bell on the door rings again. He's like, "Oh, got a customer. I gotta, if y'all need anything else, just let me know." And he trots back into the store.
Thank you.
look around. It's like, well, you don't suppose he was actually kidnapped by aliens, do you?
Unit starts investigating the area quietly.
He just ignores the alien question.
As someone who's actively fought 2 separate alien kidnappings, I'm just gonna stay quiet because I don't want it to be aliens again.
All right, give me awareness checks. If you've got any kind of investigation skill, that would factor in as well.
Can't believe I didn't buy any investigation skills for toss-up, but I did not.
Well, you know, not every Robin was a good investigator.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that I have investigation.
Dang it.
Like, I have a high awareness
Sorry.
and also investigation.
Oh.
Well, toss-up is such a... Sorry. I'll get it right eventually.
No worries.
1d8. Wait, man. Someone's playing the big game today.
All right.
That's the secret. If you're a game master, you can roll an 8-sided die for your NPCs. Really challenge your players.
All right. So with a 7, toss up, you're kind of going over what the Yeah, you can kind of still make out where he walked out here.
Yes, buddy.
And you trace him out there. Okay, here's some tracks coming back. There's a bunch of tracks, but these look a little newer. Sure enough, they kind of just stop right here. You don't see any like fresh vehicle tracks. Of course, this is an alleyway, so stuff has driven through here. It's really hard to kind of date them.
But say somebody with flight or something could have swooped in and picked him up.
Absolutely. The alley's fairly wide. This is not a city like on an island like Manhattan or something where everything's got to be crammed close together. It's kind of sprawling. U.N.I.S.O.N, you start looking over the area, and you notice a bunch of little marks on the back wall of the next building's over, the other side of the alley. There's like 5 little... First thing you notice is there's 5 little holes in the wall. Not like all the way through, but, in the brick. And then you notice another 5 up a little bit further from there. And if you were to look at it upside down, it would... Line it up with the camera. It would kind of look like a handprint, potentially. And then you find some that kind of match, feet. Like something was latching onto the wall. Clawed hands, potentially. And that goes all the way up to the roof.
Toss-up, do you have any way to make something forensic for me?
Sure, what are we looking for?
Check all those holes for scraps of skin cells. See if we can't start running a check on something to see if we're running against something with, non-human components. And yeah, unit will start kind of floating up, following the trail.
Yeah, we want to see what's on the roof, if there's anything the police might have missed.
We don't even know if the place to check the roof.
Yeah,
See, it's only like a
probably
two-story
not.
building, so you don't have to go up very high. You get up there, there's a little pile of cigarette ash, like somebody was up there smoking. But, no ashtrays, like he was just kind of smoking and putting his cigarettes out and, on the ceiling itself and leaving it. This is one of those roofs that's got like a little bit of gravel up on top. Basically right across from the back door of the store. There's also a crumpled up empty cigarette pack.
What
So, like,
cigarettes were they smoking? That might tell us about
So like
more
someone
about the
was there
character.
waiting.
That is the impression it leaves with you.
Okay, good. That means we're against a human. I doubt aliens are gonna have a favorite brand of smokes.
Depends on how long they've been on Earth.
I think we'd know about a Rhodes Ferry alien who's here often enough to smoke smokes. From the people I had asking around, from the fact I had several copies running around asking about superpowered folk.
Well, fair
and
enough.
alien showed up.
Fair enough. And to answer your question, Curtis, it's a Marlboro Unfiltered.
So he thinks it's a tough guy.
Clearly, he thinks he's a tough guy. Or she, whatever.
Kidnapped by someone able to climb walls, but it looked like the wall was slightly punctured.
Yeah, not like poked all the way through, but yeah, like it was where like recluse just tends to stick to walls.
Yeah.
It's like this guy was using clawed hands and feet to grip the wall.
Measurement. Do the holes look uniform? Do they all look like, perfect circles, or do they look like they've been punched and then like weight has been thrown downward on them? Like, do they look like it was so the difference between a device punching a hole and a person is that when the person leaves, it will be like a scratch downward because you're trying to lift yourself upwards, whereas a device will puncture in and then just pull out, and they lift upwards and then punch.
They're not that perfect. They're not like hole punch perfect, no.
Okay.
Definitely looks like he was kind of crawling from this placement, like he was crawling down the wall.
Okay. So it was a person's ability and not necessarily a device. Which is problematic because we were looking for a super tech person. So this may be like super genetic stuff.
Mm-hmm. But you find that there's a little paved section at the very base of the wall. So you can't see if like he stood up down there and I wouldn't have left prints. But also looking around, you find you find similar marks on Mr. Priest's building on the other side, but they're oriented like they're going up. But you're left with the impression that he was climbing. Assuming this was a person, you're left with the impression they were climbing with just the one hand on the way back up.
And
where they went up on the other side.
all right, it took me a minute to figure out how to do it, but I could make a device that uses post-cognition with a forensic. Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lens.
Rather than actually see it, have a forensic cosmetic effect to determine what might have been going on, but it looks like we kind of already figured it out. Is there anything
Yeah.
on the anything
The,
on the
the
roof of the
evidence kind
shop?
of points towards modified human.
There's nothing on the top of Mr. Priest's store. Though when you put all this together, you get the impression that it climbed down. As far as Priest's... and Priest's print stops kind of right between these two sets of climb marks. So maybe it climbed down and then just kind of sprang across, snatched him right off from where he was walking, and then climbed up the other side with him. Where it went from there, you can't really tell. But yeah, he was definitely taken by something enhanced. Whether, modified human, alien, or mutant, who knows.
We don't
right.
know where it would have taken him.
So what kind of you said you were making you were whipping up a device using precognition or postcognition, one of the two.
Yeah, it's kind of like a post. I forget exactly what they called it, but it lets you see in the past. I know difficulty level 3, it said lets you see back a week. Difficulty level 2 lets you see back 2 days. And of course, because I'm using the forensic cosmetic effect, I wouldn't actually see it, but I might be able to deduce something that we missed.
Give me a roll for that. Does it say what the difficulty of the roll is?
Like I said, it depends on how far back it was. A difficulty level of 3 lets me see back a week.
Okay, so we'll go with a difficulty level of 3. So 7 is the number you want to beat.
I'll just use my basic. Well, yeah.
All right, so you got a 6.
Yeah, I did not get it. I lied to Unit. Actually, I don't think Unit's one of the ones with me. So I lied to Unison.
Well, you could do it, potentially.
Well, luckily enough, our target was amateur enough to give enough evidence.
And you're able to potentially swab some DNA out of the holes it left. You just have to get Spear or somebody to examine that.
I should have thought to use my luck. Oh well.
It's okay.
I forget, does luck let you No, luck basically functions like extra...
Determination, I think.
Determination, yeah, that's right. You don't have to necessarily tap anything to use it.
Yeah, it just is what I tap.
Alright. The Unison at the police station, has he gotten information?
Yes, you get to the police station. They're a little surprised to see you when you walk in.
Understandably.
The desk sergeant there, hey, how can I help you? Looks at your ID, of course.
Yeah. We're state investigation of, some of the thefts related to the business ShadoCorp. But while we were here, some people in the public asked us about some disappearance of a shop owner in town.
Say, oh yeah, old Mr. Priest, yeah. Yeah, we're investigating that. I'm not sure why y'all would come in and step on our toes about that. I mean, that's a local issue.
Well, I'm just here because we got asked to do it by some locals. And it just makes us look good to assist when people ask.
Yeah, you gotta keep up those optics, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares
So,
if it's you trying to make us look like we can't do our job? Well, hang on. Let me see if there's a detective on duty that I can push you off on. I mean, that I can get to help you.
Oh, it's no problem. I just need, if you just have the contact number for any family to call and say, don't worry. Because we're also on the lookout for a boogeyman as well.
Oh, that guy.
Because...
Yeah, if y'all can cart him off, I'd appreciate it. We all would.
Well, he hasn't so much as, said his name to a Spear official. And once we found out he has some interest in the disappearance, because it's a local disappearance, I'm more here to show up for Boogeyman to make sure he's playing by some rules than just these disappearances.
I don't think he cares about the rules. Hang on, though. I'll get you a detective. A little bit later, detective walks up. Detective Carson.
Yeah, and I'll explain to Carson the same thing of, I'm here for these, about the disappearances, mostly in the fact of, since all the people around are talking about it, it's most likely what Boogeyman is going to be on, and I need to get in contact with Boogeyman to make sure, he doesn't overstep the bounds that are being placed.
All right, he pulls up the police report. We got called in to check out the shop. Once we contacted his niece, she came down and officially reported him as missing when she called around and couldn't get a hold of him anywhere else. He goes, we checked out the back. We saw some prints where he'd gone and taken out the trash. He seemed to just disappear from back there. We're asking around. None of the locals seem to have seen anything. He had a couple of video cameras in the shop, but nothing that watched the back alley. Cameras show him gathering the trash, 20 minutes before he was supposed to close. He walked out, didn't walk back in.
All right.
And, we're looking for a few thieves that came in through the rest of the night and, just pocketed stuff. But we know no reason to believe they were involved in the disappearance, though.
Yeah, no one really commits a kidnapping for $30 of smokes.
No. And he shows you the video footage, and, it shows what I've just said,
Yeah. Timing-wise, the other unit's investigation, and this is happening similar times, or has unit completed his stuff by the time?
They're going on simultaneously.
Okay. I'll go ahead and ask for the contact information of the niece.
Okay, he gives you a number. Tells you she lives up in Manford. Your old stomping ground, best he recalls.
Yeah, sometimes I missed that. Back on a glory leader who just got to punch things really hard. Fun days. But all right. So.
But he tells you got no leads right now. But...
Hopefully, this call will at least get me a lead on. Because local heroes and all, he's probably already contacted the niece. So hopefully I can contact the niece and get Boogeyman's number from her. So I will call the niece with the distinct desire of, I'm currently on this investigation. I've been told Boogeyman is also investigating this privately. I would like to, connect information with him. Has he contacted you? And if so, can you give me the number he used?
All right, so this is you calling her after you've left the...
Yes.
Okay. Why would Spear be an investigator? Well, she hesitates for a minute, like she's not sure you're really who you're saying you are, but then she's like, "Oh yes, I was called by somebody saying they were the Boogeyman." She goes, "Of course, I don't know if it really was, but I asked a few questions about the neighborhood. He definitely knew the neighborhood, like somebody that lived there." So, but I found out my uncle was missing. You know, when the police called me, I of course went down and filled out the paperwork and all that.
Yeah, I stop her for a moment and then like use what the police told me to corroborate of like I already know this, and this is also proof that I'm in contact with the police.
Oh, okay, yeah, she seems a little more at ease then.
Yeah, this is more me wanting to get in contact with Boogeyman because Boogeyman has local resources and local information that will be more beneficial than us both looking separately. You know, he has local information and I have government resources. I need to put those two together to get the best outcome.
Oh, well, he didn't leave his number, but my caller ID has got his number.
I'm sincerely hoping he didn't call from like a payphone.
Even kind of broke, I imagine he could have a little flip phone, burner phone, without too much expense.
Yeah. Pretty much that.
Well, also, going from a payphone constantly would actually cost more than a $20 phone.
So she gives you the number that he called her from. She goes, "I don't know if this is a personal number or one of them throwaway phones like they use in the like spies use in the movies, or you know." I don't know how you superheroes handle that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I apologize for putting even more on you during this stressful time. It's just this is sort of the easiest way, if it works, to get in contact with him, because he has actively not wanted to come in contact with Spear after we were founded.
Oh, you're not going to get him in any trouble now, are you?
No. I don't care I don't care about him joining Spear or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, she gives you a number. She goes, "I hope this helps."
Thank you, ma'am. Hang up, and then dial that number for the Boogeyman.
Boogeyman, your phone rings or vibrates or whatever you got to set on.
I throw it into the river. No.
Sploosh. Somebody should be calling me.
I answer the phone. Who gave you this number?
I'm the world's 379th best detective. You think I can't find you, Boogeyman?
Who the hell are you?
Oh, sorry, I'm a clone of the 379th greatest detective. This is Unit from Spear.
Oh shit. Okay, hi. Are you in town? Because it'd be really great if you guys were in town, like the whole team, all of you, right now.
Oh, good, we're on the same page.
Okay, anyway, ShadoCorp. Have you ever heard of ShadoCorp? Anyway, yeah. It's exactly as shady as it sounds. I mean, my god, apparently it's like the CEO's name. So, of course, he's evil.
No, it's Shadow. He's just French.
That's way too close to Shadaloo, and now I'm worried M-Bison's gonna show up.
Anyway, apparently there was a supervillain. There was a mad scientist, somebody with a shoulder cannon, according to a security guard to beat the crap out of. He'd been breaking in there. They decided just to hire him.
I'm gonna stop you for a moment. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me you beat up random people again. This is a government phone I'm calling from.
Oh.
I'm gonna let this slide because you're saving people's lives by giving me this information.
You know, that's incredibly fair. But,
yeah. Also, like, I don't particularly care for the government either. But I like using their stuff for free, so I do it. Anyway.
And he'll happily talk crap about him on their own phone.
What are they gonna do? Fire me? I stopped them from being taken over. Don't think I... Oh no, you've gone back to being untrustworthy. Anyway. Yes, I was hoping to get in contact with you. But, yeah, so you already know about... We believe him to be the technomonger.
The
Basically,
technomonger?
it's a dude that loves stealing super tech and using it for himself.
He mongers tech.
Okay, but the technomonger.
Dude, I didn't name him, and it sounds like, he named himself that. I mean, just think about it. That's just, Anyway.
God, that's sad. And I call myself the Boogeyman.
Well, I mean, that's at least, like, classic.
Eh.
We're getting distracted.
Yeah. Anyway, they've been helping him kidnap people for human experimentation. They started with some homeless people, and they recently kidnapped a shopkeeper named Fred Priest.
Yeah.
He's an old
about
guy.
the
He's been
shop.
poking him.
Yeah, about the
You know
shopkeeper.
about that. All right.
There
good.
was a stakeout of his place. Basically, an empowered human on the rooftop waited till he came out to take out the garbage, climbed
The freak
down a
squad.
building, grabbed him, climbed up a building.
All right. I got
But
intel
right
on the
now,
loose-
we have no direct connection from this to ShadoCorp. That's why I was calling you, was the hope that you had the connective pieces. And
Well.
guess what you do? Because you have the guard talking about. So, now we just have to figure out a good way to get in. A good reason. And also,
well,
meeting up and all that.
Meet me at Hector's Coffee and Donuts on 8th and Wellington Street.
Understood. Also, I'll probably bring some paperwork for you to sign.
I can't promise I'll sign it.
Well, you will be working temporarily with Spear, so it'll just be a contract of you basically being paid in cash for both,
I
the
will
time
sign it
and
happily.
it's basically you'll be getting time and danger pay because you'll be working a Spear operation under the guidance of Spear, yada yada yada. But you're a superhero, so we can't take down like a social security number for a fake identity, so you're paid in cash.
All right. I'll have to read the I'll have to read the contract, but
It's perfectly fine.
that
Perfectly fine.
sounds equitable.
Ask about insurance.
Oh yeah. Does this thing like cover hazard pay or insurance, health or medical emergencies?
It's danger pay and any. I mean, I'm gonna take a brief look at you when you show up. If you don't have any obviously broken bones and anything.
Like a car rental.
Well, if you show up with a broke arm, I'm not gonna let you put a broke arm on your list after the mission because you've had it before.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Now, granted, if you get hit by like a super cancer laser, then yeah, we'll put that down.
Do those exist? Is that something you
mean,
can start worrying about?
They do.
Technically, if you have a macro wave gun and just aim it at someone for long enough, you degenerate the cells. So, technically,
God, that's a unique brand of evil. Have you ever had to deal with that?
no, that was Japan in World War II. Tried it. It took like an hour.
Wow.
It took like an hour to do anything to a person. So but that was World War II. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
There might be someone that's made it into a laser. Anyway, see you at the donut place.
They could have made it into a laser and mounted it on their shoulders.
Hang up the phone. Both have undiagnosed ADHD. Hot damn, that was a weird conversation.
Yes.
All right, so y'all are gonna meet at a donut place. Boogeyman, is this donut place familiar with you?
Yeah, I've stopped a couple robberies there, and I get not a free coffee, but a discount.
All right. Back to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's starting to get dark. So people are getting off the streets. People in the neighborhood they're kind of on alert, and nobody's letting not that they let the children play outside unsupervised much anyway, but people tend to go around in pairs or groups. The children are watched closely. Word has gotten around that people are disappearing. You know, at first it was just the homeless one, but then Mr. Priest disappeared. You know, so they're not in full panic, but a little on edge. You know, even the homeless are staying grouped together a lot. A few of them are still a little leery of you because you're new, but you know you've been here for a week or so now, so. As you're passing through an alley, give me an awareness check.
Generated a 9.
All right, I generated a 7, so you beat me by 2. You hear a couple of people walking up behind you in the alley. They're trying to be quiet. They're clearly trying to be quiet.
Mm-hmm. Are there any handy nearby, I don't know, reflective windows or something that I could like sneak a peek at them without turning around?
I'm gonna roll a d6. Even there's something reflective. Odd, there is not. No, you're in an alleyway between two buildings, and this is a fairly narrow alleyway. You know, between two buildings, not back behind them where you'd put the dumpsters and where garbage trucks would go. So, you know, this is maybe 10 feet wide or something.
Okay. I think I want to try to, let's see. Yeah, actually, I'm trying to think if I'm actually trying to let myself get captured. I think for this case, I am, because I don't. I wouldn't be equipped to. I wasn't planning on just like actually taking out the prospective captors. I think what I would do is I would just let myself be captured and maybe have some. Maybe I would have, with a well spent termination point, have some kind of precaution to like if they poison me. I might spend a determination point to say, oh, I just had like some like neutralizer like already in my system to protect me, so to keep me from getting knocked out, stuff like that. Depending on how the you know what their preferred method of incapacitation is. But yeah, I think the plan is to just let them capture me, and I will conveniently walk towards a isolated location where would-be captors would feel safe to would-be capture me.
Okay. Well, they're coming up behind you faster than you're walking. Like I said, you can tell they're trying to be quiet, but they're also obviously trying to catch up with you. So yeah, if you keep walking, they walk up behind you, and right as they get up on you, there's a slight rustle of cloth, and basically they're whapping you in the back of the head with like an old style sap.
Okay. Would that force in and of itself be enough to knock me out? Given that I'm not just a 4 stamina normal person or whatever. I would feign being knocked out if possible with that one blow.
The one blow probably is not going to be enough to knock you out completely.
Okay. I would act as if it were.
Well, no, it wouldn't be, because it wouldn't be straight damage. It'd be like a stun attack. So let me look up stun.
Yeah.
I want to say stun rolls versus your strength.
I'm a little above average physically, not a whole lot. Average is 3, right? Is it 2 or 3?
3, I think.
Oh, okay. In that case, I
can't remember. I can't remember if average is 2.
I think
yeah.
Right.
Average is 3. Average is 3. 2 is considered poor. All right. So this would be coordination versus coordination if you were trying to resist the attack.
Right. Which I'm not.
If the attack succeeds, roll a power level test against your target's strength or willpower. Chosen when the power is taken. So a sap to the back of the head would be your strength, because that's going to be a physical attack.
Yeah. All right.
So it's going to be your strength. And I'm going to give the... They've got a strength of 3, so that's what I want to use for that.
Okay, normally it wouldn't stun, but I'm going to pretend like it did.
Alright, so you beat them by 1. Which I believe means it does nothing to you. You know, it hurts, but it doesn't actually knock you out or knock you silly. But, you know, you just let yourself go limp, and the other one is, it basically reaches out and grabs you as you're falling down.
Mm-hmm.
Then both of them grab an arm, throw it over their shoulders, turn around and kind of hustle back the way they came. You hear one of them talking to somebody. We got one, you know, pull the van up. So we got kind of through a cracked eye, you see a van pull up at the far end, basically blocking the entranceway. You know, the side door opens. They hand you off to somebody in there who kind of pulls you in, just throws you down face down, zip ties your hands behind your back, and rolls you over in the corner as his accomplices climb into the van and shut the door.
Okay.
There is one other person zip tied here in the van. They appear to actually be unconscious and are like laid over to one side drooling.
So presumably still alive.
Yeah.
Control.
Yeah, you can tell they're breathing and all that. They've clearly been knocked out, probably in a similar manner to you.
Yeah. If I could keep, if it's possible, I imagine I would have like studied the local maps enough to remember where I was when I was apprehended, and perhaps judging on, or at least I try to kind of keep track of my mental map where we are based on the speed and the turns of the vehicle, or at least attempt to do that.
Okay. Consider how far they're going to drive. It's going to be difficult. Give me an awareness roll.
Yeah, if they go significantly outside the city, it'll be more likely that I would not have. I mean, I'll leave that up to you, but I'll go ahead and make that just straight up awareness.
Yes, just awareness. Unless you've got if you got a skill you think would help.
Yeah, the closest thing I have is insight, but that's really more about psychology than this sort of thing. I don't think I have anything that plays up, so I generated an 8.
All right, well they generated a 7, or the difficulty I should say was a 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you were up in one of this kind of area of the neighborhood. So they turn off one of the smaller side streets onto this main street here. They hook a right there, so you when they hit the off ramp to get up on the highway here,
mm-hmm.
you can pretty well tell that's what they're doing. And then they travel a decent way without it's kind of a raised highway where the other street's kind of going under it, so there's not a lot of stoplights or anything slowing you down.
Are we going northward or southward?
So they turned left when you got there, so you're heading south.
Okay.
Then they take another big turn, but you're pretty sure they're still on kind of a main drag. There is one red light they stop at, or I should say, there's one time they stop, and given how long they're stopped and stuff, you assume it was a red light. And you still hear other traffic around you at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be trying to note like obvious, landmarks like a big chiming to indicate a well-known clock tower, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So best you can tell, they're cutting across the wildlife refuge here.
Yes.
You know, like I said, you got a raised road that cuts across it. You know, the other side is not Rhodes Ferry; it's a different community, and that's really kind of their main connection, or main. Yeah, the highway there's their main connection between the two. However, they don't seem to go all the way across it. At some point, they turn off. And the travel gets rough at that point. Maybe some kind of dirt road or path, or and you kind of lose track of where you might be at then, because there's not really, the map you looked at doesn't have like a
Sure.
detailed map of the nature of the wildlife refuge. But your absolute best guess would be that you were somewhere in the wildlife refuge.
Okay.
Now let's cut over to the donut shop. Boogeyman, you'd be the first. You could easily be the first one to arrive if you wanted to be inside when the rest of them got there.
Yeah, I'm inside. I've got my motorcycle helmet off, but I've got like a bandana wrapped around my face. Little eye holes cut in it. I'm just, in a back booth enjoying a coffee.
A discounted coffee. No coffee is as good as a discounted coffee, unless it's a free coffee.
Oh no, many coffees are better. It's cheaper than most.
Oh, I see. All right, U.N.I.S.O.N and Toss-up. How many Unisons are showing up with Toss-up?
Just unit.
Okay. All right, Boogeyman, you see these two guys walking in. Blonde guy with goggles. Kind of an old-style military jacket. Unison is in, truthfully, a costume similar to yours. You know, his helmet's kind of motorcycle helmet looking, and his jacket's kind of leathery. But it's, well, I was going to say bright primary colors, but Unit's actually the one in black, isn't he?
Gray. It's gray.
That's right. It's gray.
Night shift
Shift is black. So really a similar fashion sense. It's just like he had money to actually pull it off. Where you pulled random stuff out of your closet.
I just wave him over.
That must be our date.
He's got a bandana hiding his face, probably.
Sit down. So, how do you want to storm a tech giant?
I was hoping you would know.
Well, normally I have a large man spider just punch a hole in the roof. He's conveniently not, or inconveniently not with us.
Why not? So it's just the two of you here? I was hoping there'd be more firepower.
We have the rest of Unison.
There's the 7 of us.
Oh, that's good, I guess. But I've never done like. Yeah, there's been some weird bullshit I've been caught up in, but like, besides that, the worst I've ever fought was a dude with extendable legs. That was a weird and embarrassing day for everyone. But
Sounds like you're
Was
mocking
it the
Stilt Man.
overstepper?
Well, welcome to the big leagues.
Whoa. We don't know what the big leagues yet. We just know it's one modified human. Probably multiples, because, let's face it.
I just meant who
Mysteriously appeared from this place the same time.
I just meant who he's teaming up with.
What?
I'd have heard about Toss-up, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you've probably heard about
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So yeah.
yeah. Toss-up's been on the team for a while now.
All right.
and what I'd really like to know is if they've built a shadow lab, where that
Shadow.
is, because that would be our real target, not the big corporate headquarters.
No, Toss-up. You forget something. We're the government now. We can just hit the big one. We don't have to.
Understand, whatever we're
Shit,
looking
no.
for is probably not in the big lab.
We don't gotta explain crap. Also, in unit, hands over the paperwork for him to mark down, an identification and proof, a signature to show that when he gives the signature at the end, it's the signature that he actually did get paid.
I just, go read through the contract, make sure there's nothing that I'm not signing my life away, or that, like, signing up for a 2 days a week service with Spear or something.
One weekend a month. It's like the
Of course, that
supernatural.
weekend isn't a. Yeah, that weekend is an alternate dimension where time is like 10 times slower.
Yeah, well,
And monsters just keep showing up.
It's like Minecraft if it was its own dimension.
I was thinking of that one dimension from DC Comics with the forget what his name is.
Like
Batman and Wonder Woman show up there to protect it for a day, and it ends up being like 30 years.
No, I don't remember that story.
Well, time moved differently there, so the dude did take only 1 day, but in that dimension it was 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like an old Templar or something that held evil at bay in that dimension. They were basically giving him a day off. But they didn't age while they were there. They were just, and from their perspective, they were fighting for 30 years.
Yeah. They just didn't know it was going to feel like that.
They did a real similar story where Wonder Woman and Superman helped the Norse gods during Ragnarok. They were all fighting for a century, but they didn't age while they were doing it.
That was like their excuse for what the JSA was doing at the end of World War II and the next generation of heroes. So it's a well they've gone to. But yeah, I signed away the contract after making sure there's nothing disagreeable in it.
And after sipping, Novice will just appear beside me. I'll hand him the contract.
Jesus Christ.
Here you go. Thanks, boss. And Novice will, step out the building and fly off to go deliver it.
People in the shop are taking, like, cell phone pics of y'all. The owner's doing a pretty good job of making sure nobody sits too close to you, privacy isn't really available, but you kind of got the corner of the shop to yourself, and everybody else is kind of being seated elsewhere. He does more drive-through and pick-up business than people coming in and sitting down anyway. But
So what the hell was that?
That was a delivery for your contract to go to Spear. So they have, authorized it in writing, authorized that you will be operating with us today, and possibly tomorrow if this takes forever.
Okay, well,
And
cool.
that you
Next time
should
tell me-
receive pay for it.
Cool, just next time tell me that somebody's gonna teleport beside me or something. I'm not used to this kind of bullcrap, alright? I should
Oh,
be
you
at this point, but
You sweet summer child. Look, don't worry. We'll get back to the fighting a dude with like a snake tail in a minute.
oh yeah. I don't know much about the rest of the superpowered people they have, but
Oh yeah, Toss-up. I
was
forgot to
one-
ask. He hands the list back over. Does this give the ability to make modified people? It's all the stolen tech.
Does it?
Looking it over at Toss-up, no, there's nothing in the stolen tech that seems to be genetically oriented. It all seems to be more engineering fabrication kind of stuff, high-tech fabrication kind of stuff. Think Tony's personal lab in the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
It'd be like he's building something like that, but not necessarily
Yeah,
genetic
this
oriented.
is more for building a manufacturing lab. What they would do with that lab, I don't know. What they, they could build.
So, I'm gonna go off on a hunch here, and say they're trying to make some kind of modified human with both genetic and electronics. Or, a modified human with an armored suit that operates to them specifically or something like that.
Did we say that the Shadow Company or ShadoCorp did genetic stuff?
That is one of the things that they do a little bit. And
Or-
they've got some of the other companies that do that sort of thing.
Yeah, strange that if they were doing genetic experiments at this lab that they didn't just straight up take, genetic equipment for that. But this is pretty generic. It's kind of like, say you took a 3D printer, you could build, it's for that,
it's just
for
the
fabrication.
Industrial level of many of the things. Okay. So, Boogeyman, this man you got to confess, do you have a recording of it by any chance?
Ooh, but I have a cell phone.
A cell phone with a recording of it?
Ooh. I was just trying to get information.
I understand. I was just kind of hoping we could take the easy route, and I just slap down a recording of it alongside all of our investigative, and just start a fight in the middle of the place. It's been a while since I've had a nice super villain fight.
So is there anything on this cell phone that you pulled?
I haven't really gone through it. Just got wrapped up there. Started biking.
All right,
Then-
let's go ahead and look through it then.
Take a look.
Don't go through his picture. He said he has some personal.
Oh God, didn't need to see that.
Somebody give me a tech roll to see if y'all can hack into his phone. That's probably going to be a
Toss-up.
toss-up thing. I mean, Unison's pretty good with tech, but...
I have an intellect of 5, but it's not
I
the
mean,
best.
I don't know, would I put my gadgeteering on that or?
Let me pull up your sheet right quick. It would be intelligence and... Let's see, where is toss-up? There he is. Yeah, I'll let you throw your gadgets in there. So
Would
you-
I be able to apply science?
Do what now?
Would I be able to apply my?
Speak up just a little bit louder.
Oh, sorry. Would I be able to apply my science specialty?
Uh,
Oh, I think hers. Actually,
yeah, you could. And we'll let y'all double team this, so you'd be rolling to assist. Oh, I guess I need to roll a difficulty for it. Alright, so both of y'all beat it. Though I guess this is really something where you'd have been giving him a +2 or something. Anyway, Boogeyman, you beat the difficulty. Toss-up blew it out of the water. So yeah, the two of y'all, sit down with a few little tools and get into it. You pop it open. I'm going to assume, unless you say otherwise, that you don't look through his photos. Otherwise, you get some phone numbers for people in the company. Most of them are named. Like his direct superior seems to be named. A couple of the other security guys that you cross-reference the name. So it's a couple of other security guys. You know, you pick out his girlfriend's name, a couple of family members' names, and then he's got one just labeled boss. If you check the log, that was the last number that he dialed.
Interesting.
Yeah, just a heads up. They know somebody was poking him. That somebody was me.
But other than that, there's not really... There's nothing on there that's particularly suspicious. It's... Considering everybody else's full names, or, you know, first and last name are put in into the call ID, it's a little odd that one just says boss. Especially if you work for a company, you know, especially since his direct superior was named, you know, and he works for a company where there's, you know, several VPs in that building, so never mind the CEO.
Is his direct superior's name on this list?
Yes, his direct superior, you know, the head security guy. Yes, he's listed by name in the phone. You know, the other couple of guards that are in there are listed by name.
All right. So do we want to just take the direct approach toss-up? Oh wait, toss-up. You haven't seen me take the direct approach, have you?
I don't believe I have.
Oh, this will be fun. You get to bury a body.
What?
Sorry, what? Hold on. Let's knock that back.
Don't worry, it's mine.
What?
This coffee shop is not a place to talk about this, is it?
No.
Come on. We'll start heading there. I'll explain on the way.
Could be worse. This could be his direct approach where he dives out of the back of a spaceship into oncoming missiles. Repeatedly.
Repeatedly. Well, until the missiles ran out. Then I felt safe.
Does U.N.I.S.O.N ever think about the fact that all of his copies have souls?
No. All of my copies are connected to my soul and look like they're individual souls. I had a bad problem about that when the dude that could see souls in Japan talked about that because I didn't think they were connected that way. And then I went, oh, that's a lot to think about that I'm going to repress.
Think of the clones as workstations.
Because the thing is, I still felt it. Like, I still knew, yeah, they're diving out there and dying, and felt it, because the minds are connected. But I was like, it has to happen. We all agree this has to happen. Because that's the thing is, it's not I make a shell and mentally control it. We all have individual thoughts. It's just they all know they're expendable. They all know if you die,
okay with that.
you die anyway. Like, they know, mentally they know they are copies of me, but they are able to independently think. But they also know that if I die, they die.
It's still kind of like a workstation. You may have, you know, Windows maybe running on each individual something, but they're all really tied into the main system.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I can't remember what series of novels that was where you had a Hector Hive. That his were each independent. Or that they weren't physically, they were independent because they had full bodies and were like permanently there whenever he spawned one. But mentally, they were all kind of hive mind, except a duplicate might lose his temper where the rest of them didn't. If it was the one directly interacting with the stimulus. You know, somebody could piss him off. You know, somebody could piss off the individual enough that he'd punch him. Where all the rest of them would be annoyed with that guy, but not to the point they would have lost control. It's like there was a slight filter between which one was interacting with something and everybody else. But he would do things like, you know, the dive into missiles is the sort of thing he would do. Or, you know, this experimental suit of armor that, you know, will kill whoever's wearing it after a little while. He's holding it, then duplicates, And then the duplicates put the copies of the armor on because he duplicates equipment with his guys. And then they flew off on a suicide mission. While, you know, OG him went and had a coffee or whatever. It's kind of a dark book. But anyway. We're running out of time, so back to the subject. Alright, so y'all are leaving the coffee shop with y'all's plan to go after the main base. Or the office building. It's 4 o'clock, so we're going to get ready to wrap up. Cutting back just briefly to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very rough and bumpy ride into the preserve. They got to be traveling fairly deep into it. Finally, you feel the ride smooth out as you hit a little paved area. But almost as soon as they hit that, they come to a stop. You hear the sounds of a roll-up door. Now, nobody's gotten out of the van, but you hear the roll-up door. The van pulls in. The form you've taken, anyone, what do you currently look like?
Oh, just I'm going to. Let's see. Yeah, just like I'm going to say, a tall, like Caucasian male in his, somewhere in his 20s with like jeans that are a little short for him and just worn sneakers and a gray hoodie. I just googled the first image I found on Pinterest for a homeless person. So yeah, that's basically it.
All right.
Fairly nondescript.
But youngish, okay.
Yeah.
So the door slide open. Everybody in the van slides out. They reach up and they grab you and the other guy. And the other guy's older Hispanic guy. Mostly bald. What hair he's got kind of around the back. Think Patrick Stewart's hair in like the first season of Next Generation. It's all gray. He's pretty wrinkled up. It's like somebody that's been outside most of his life. And he is kind of, I don't know if you've woke up or yet or not. He's kind of roused up, mumbling about, where is he?
Oh, that's the other captain.
Yeah, that's the other captain. When they drag him out, you hear kind of a scream, something that's frightened him. Then they reach and they pull you out, and you see what frightened him.
Okay.
You see, we'll use the term man loosely. Definitely male. Stands 6.5 feet tall, covered in green scales. He's got big gauges in his ears, kind of fanged teeth. If he's actually a person, he must have filed his teeth down, but he's got sort of a snake's tongue. And he's laughing at the old guy's reaction. Joking about the good. It's a good thing, basically, it's due to such a poor specimen. It's a good thing the doc ain't too picky about who he piddles with. Kind of grabs the guy by the beard, looking at him, and goes, "Hope this one's got enough of a brain left to attach something to." He looks over at you. Oh, this one's a lot younger. Yeah, he looks a little sturdier. He'll probably last better. Oh well, let's go. He basically grabs both of you by the arm. He's kind of like trotting you off. He's holding the arms up a little too high, so you're kind of almost walking your tiptoes. He marches you both back to a cell. The hallway with the cell, there's a couple of creatures that are they're dog size, but you don't know what species or what kind of creatures these things are. But there's two of them, and you've got cells on both sides, like a little hallway in the middle, and these things are just kind of in the hallway.
Oh, okay.
Like it would just even if somebody found a way to open their door, they'd be very discouraged to actually step out.
I see. So like guard hounds of some kind.
Yeah, I'll have pictures for them next week, or next session. But like I said, they're not any kind of species you recognize.
Mm-hmm.
These do not sound like friendly people.
Yeah. Nobody's been particularly friendly. Now, none of the guys driving the van that picked you up, none of them follow him further into the facility. The guy that was driving, maybe the leader, you see him stepping over into a side room. The rest of the guys, once you're out and walking off, they start loading back up in the van. They didn't seem nervous when they were driving here. They seem a little nervous while they're in the facility, though. Maybe because of Freaky Dude.
Sure.
But, so we're going to wrap there as you and this other guy are thrown into the same cell. And this lizard man locks you in. One of the guard animals comes over and is kind of like stiffened. It's growling, but it doesn't sound like a cat or a dog making a growling sound. It sounds more reptilian. Think like an alligator, the way they're kind of when they bellow and it just kind of vibrates. A couple of the other kidnappees kind of whimper and hunker back in their cells when they hear it.
Yeah, I'll make a note to myself to be ready to spend a determination point for some handy dandy artificial musk to throw off the these guard alligator things. Since it now has my scent or a scent.
That's true. You have to disguise your scent if you thought they were tracking you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap up here with you have infiltrated some secret lab, presumably of the Technomonger, but you haven't actually seen him yet.
Yep, just a black dragon. Although I'm not sure that I know the name Black Dragon yet.
No, the security guard knew that one, so you would not have heard that name quite yet.
Yeah.
And the rest of you are on your way back to the corporate headquarters of ShadoCorp.
ShadoCorp.
And we will pick up there next time. I hope y'all had fun. I know this one was a little more investigative than superhero action.
Oh, that was a blast.
But also, we have a street level two investigative characters.
Right.
This one's gonna be a bit more Phoenix Wright than anything else.
Though next session the stuff should be hitting the fan pretty good. So anyway, I enjoyed running. I hope anybody that comes by and watches us or listens to us later enjoyed it. Again, I've been your GM for the day, Jason, and with me has been Curtis playing Toss-up.
Have a good one.
Mike playing Anyone.
Good evening.
Taylor playing U.N.I.S.O.N.
See ya.
And Zach playing the Bogeyman. And we will see you next time. Oh, I'm sorry, I talked right over you.
Oh, you're fine.
Anyway, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye-bye. Ha! I stole yours. How do you feel about it?